Hello, viewer / listener. This is Break for episode 54. I know that if you listen to Break, I said that last time. I can't count on some days, so this is actually for 54. Last one's for 53. But yeah, this is for Fallthrough episode 54. It's Matt, me, and Nick Gerace. And yeah,
I got it this time.
I got it this time. I got it the first time, and now I've got it this time. Yeah, I kind of choked on that in the outro. You know, sometimes you just like,
it's all good.
Like ready to go, and then your mind's just like,
Yep, basically.
If it makes you feel better, the last name is, I think, an Ellis Island artifact. I think it was Gerace, like it's Italian, Sicilian, with an I instead of an E at the end. So Gerace is, I think, the rough translation of that in Ellis Island speak. Back when I think my great-grandfather, it's weird, and some, like, my mom's first generation with one parent, but then like with the other, I think she's second, and like my dad's side, I think I'm third, then fourth. It's some weird equation like that, but yeah, so no worries.
Okay, yeah, but I got it right 2 out of 3 times, so that's what matters.
Yeah, exactly. That's all you need to do. That's passing by modern day education systems. Like, who cares?
Listen, Matthew. Actually, it's passing by it's 65 and below is failing. They'd be 66. 2 out of 3 is 66, Matt. So
I'm saying
still passing.
I failed. I couldn't do math quickly enough. No, just kidding. Oh,
yes,
man.
And now you can swear, Matt. You were very good in the last episode, and you didn't swear. So.
I'm turning over a new leaf for 2026. Okay?
I am shocked I didn't swear. I am shocked. It is, we are I don't know what it is about the company and the folks we bring in. I think it's that there's like a real authenticity. Like, it's a team of people that have done that have been in a variety of interest, a variety of spaces and industries. And some of those are the restaurant space. Some of them are working formerly in schools. Some of them are, hanging out at music venues and stuff, working for those. I mean, I was formerly a DJ in a previous life. There's a very real possibility that if my university had an audio engineering major, I would not be here right now. For sure. That was almost the case. But I think, and also just the open source angle of, like, being the, just loose, like, we're all people from different places in the world. There's no reason to keep up appearances. So I'm proud of you, Matthew, but I'm proud of myself.
I mean, I generally, my swearing is like usually relegated to, like, the soft versions of the swears. I don't really say any like hard like swears often. It's mostly like, yeah, I'm trying not to say anything to say.
You can swear.
But yeah, usually, yeah.
It's interesting that you brought up that whole if you're university in an audio major or audio engineering major. I was almost like, when I went to college, that's what I originally wanted to do. But again, my university was in the process of developing an audio engineering major. They didn't have an audio minor by the time I graduated, which I effectively got, but I did not feel like taking like the one like radio class I needed to take for it. But I still wound up here, despite all of my best efforts to do literally anything else. So, the world is weird.
The world is weird.
Yeah.
But I also ended up here because Fallthrough FM or the Fallthrough podcast.
Yeah, you are an audio engineer now. You're in it. You're in it, man. You can't run away from it. You just brought your coding skills along with you for the ride.
But it turns out that all that audio stuff, when you want to start a podcast eventually, turns out it's good to have some audio engineering experience.
I mean, even just like YouTube content creation or whatever, having experience editing videos, making, splicing audio together or whatever, it makes you better at shipping this stuff. I mean, there's a reason why this podcast ships every week, and it's because you have the skills to like edit it and do it. So,
because I have a degree in it, yeah.
Yeah. So it is what it is. maybe one day we'll be able to pay you enough for it. But that's neither here nor there.
I mean, it is. I do like the one of the things I like about Fallthrough and Break and like this whole thing we're doing is that it gets to marry together two of the skill sets that I have that I've never really brought together. But I wish I could have done this when I was in college, because there's so much stuff where I'm just like, if I had any of like the networking or software engineering skills that I have now back in college, we could have done even more incredible stuff than we did.
Right.
But like the ability now to be like, okay, yes, I like edit everything in Final Cut. I like spit things out to like, and then run it through FFmpeg to, get my MP3s out and all this other stuff. It's like, it's just like this mixture of like audio and video and programming. And it also just enables us to be able to ship faster than I think other people could, and do more interesting things. Like for the first episode of this year, now that I have a local LLM set up and I just like ran all of our audio through WhisperX, and it spit me out like a whole bunch of transcripts, or like 2 transcripts, and then I threw that into Claude and I was like, hey, tell me what this episode's about, and like go make me some chapters. And then it made a bunch of chapters, and then like that's work that I no longer had to do while like trying to go through post. So like post-production's faster because I'm just like switching shots and like cutting out anything that needs to like be cut out, and I don't have to think about all the like, how do I segment this into chapters? But I also didn't have to think about like, what should the supporter content be, because I was just like, hey Claude, what's like, give me 40 minutes of supporter content, please. And it was like, here are some suggestions about what would make for good supporter content. And I'm like, okay, this is a whole lot easier. And then when I went to like finish and kind of master or finalize all of the files and things, like that's just an automated process now, because I had Claude wrote a bunch of tools that I just did not have time to write myself. And it's like, oh, now I can actually get an episode processed. Like I could theoretically get this episode processed today, and it would not take up my entire rest of my day, which I think is just like an incredible thing, which you would need like a whole team of people to do in any other workflow where you don't have software engineering skills.
Or like 3 months for the government. Whatever.
Well, the government as a whole, the government has to like, you have to have 17 subcontractors, and they have to have 32 subcontractors each, and you got to coordinate all of them so that you can build a mile of road.
God. So the government's interesting. So I'm here in the DC area generally, and I'm one of the few private sector people out of like, a lot of folks I know. Some government agencies are really efficient and good. And some of them are like, got it dialed in. The patent office, met a few folks there at DevOps days. They're great. They're trying to use new technology all the time. And other branches and parts of the public sector are absolutely what you just described to a T.
Oh yeah.
And it's this weird mix of things. And obviously, you said one of the themes of this podcast is like a nuance. It is very nuanced.
Yeah.
It's very interesting to be around and get a like outside looking in opinion on.
Yeah, we tend to generalize things as humans, so when we say like the government's slow, it's because, that's maybe the majority of them, or that's what we experience with. So we make the broad sweeping statement. But yeah, there are some that are actually really efficient.
The average speed of government is slow.
Yeah. When you all were talking about like your audio engineering stuff, and it reminded me of like, Kris, you said that, you're able to use more of your skills. That's actually one of the reasons why, that's one of the things I was looking for when I was joining Oxide, was a role that was able to like make more use of the different skills that I have. Rather than just software engineering or like just customer facing things or whatever. I wanted to use a more broad set of the skills that I have, because I felt like just putting me behind a computer and writing code all day was not a good use of my time, but also just putting me in front of customers all day that, and I don't write code was also not a good use of my time. So Oxide kind of let me blend a lot of the skills together, which is why I like to join. But if you asked me like 10 years ago, is that what I would be doing? I'd be like, I have no idea. I would have no idea if that's what I would have been doing, And like, Nick, I know recently, you are now engineering manager versus an IC. And like, I'm sure you've probably thought about this more and have more of that, like, I didn't imagine this will happen. You know what I mean?
So yes and no. I think it never happens in the way you think it will. And I think having North Star goals really helps me. Yeah. I've been saying since the day I joined System Initiative to people that I want to be a founder someday. I've met with a bunch of VCs. They're like, hey, whenever you're interested, let's talk. And I'm like, I want better ideas first. And like, all this stuff. And I actually really believe in System Initiative too. So I'm like, ride in this for as long as I can. But I said to our former VP of engineering, Britt, it was at our offsite in March or April 2024, maybe May. So it was closer to 2 years, maybe a year and a half back, that I wanted to be a manager. And it kind of just hit me out of nowhere. I was like, I just think, and by the way, the word manager at a startup may have different connotations than like a Fortune 500 company. So let me provide some color to that. I don't know that I would enjoy at this point in my career being a manager at I was formerly at NetApp, and I had a wonderful manager there. I do not know that I'd want to do that job in that shape. Like, I still
want to be a VP at a finance company, because they're just giving those out.
I mean, who's calling? But I always knew that the kind of leadership roles were something I was very interested in. I just love working with a group of people to get something done, and I love the big picture stuff. Like, I weirdly like reading press releases rather than articles on press releases, because I love the legal verbiage of like how they say everything. So like, if you look at some of the System Initiative articles that call out to like I think Business Wire press release, and notice this when you're looking at like a Verge article or a news network article, and they go to some like Reuters article or Associated Press, like a lot of times they just restate what like the original source said 3 layers down. And those are always very interesting to me. But I love when they talk about the overall mission, where the company's going, what they're doing. But I also have such a fascination for like the micro and what engineers are doing. And a thing to keep track of, like what 10 things are going on if you have 10 direct reports, and how that all adds up to the mission and the organization of it all. It's just so fun. I founded our university's hackathon with a friend of mine and got a little bit of taste of that. When I was a DJ, I kind of ran my own sole proprietorship. And I know I'm using founder and manager interchangeably here, but I really don't mean it that way. I mean it in the sense of like the leadership of like the people and the project and the mission is just so cool. But I also do love being an individual contributor. That was great as well. Now, when I say, is it going to happen in the way that you think or in the timeline that you think, you really don't know. But that North Star that's been there for like a year and a half, that like, hey, I want to do this thing where I become a force multiplier, and I get a little more broad context. You were actually saying that, Matthew. I related to that heavily. Like, it's not that I want to get rid of the code or get rid of the customers. I just want to do everything all at once, all the time. Yeah. And the broadened skill set and trying new things. And it felt like somewhere I'd really fit in the future System Initiative journey, rather than going to principal engineer, because I was a step below that at the time. And all I could keep doing was looking for opportunities as they came, do little things. It gave me a reason or things to look forward to throughout the year. And it's been 3 months, 2.5, something like that, of me on the roll, maybe only 2. So like, obviously I'm speaking from all these like, like I got it figured out. No, I absolutely don't. I'm learning things on the daily. My directs are amazing. Yes, I am pulling into prior experience. I think a lot of times when people say, how do I get this job? You kind of need to be doing the job already. And then they're like, oh, this is an obvious hire, promotion, change, something we need to do. There have been opportunities throughout 2025 in particular where I've like led little project spikes, found openings, went for them, all very intentional, all basically telling my manager like, hey, I want to do more of that. and it's by accretion. So in one way, it's only been 2 or 3 months of it being official, and in another way, I've been living some of these things for a year.
I know. I like that because I also like getting the understanding of the bigger picture, and like I like unblocking people personally. If I can keep the team like unblocked and moving forward and like loaded with context, unblocked at the micro level, but then also like aligned on the goals, I love that. And then also being able to do that myself too. Like if I need to sit down and write code or whatever, I'll do that as well. But I just like that sort of juggling aspect where I'm kind of like, keeping people unblocked and productive. And I've been using AI more and more for that stuff too. Like I think you mentioned it to me, Nick, that you're using AI for this sort of work as well. I connected my AMP agent to Linear's MCP, and it has access to GitHub via their like a librarian mode or whatever. And I'm just able to like talk about vision things with AI and say, hey, listen, here's where we are today at Oxide. I want us to be here. Like, what sort of integrations or whatever is in the way of this? And like, oh, you need to do this, and this is a blocker for that, blah, blah, blah. I was like, okay, great. And then once you get to that sort of point, I'm like, yeah, go create me 2 linear issues, one blocking the other, and it uses the MCP to do that.
Wow.
I'm just like, this is amazing. You know what I mean? I don't have to go into like Linear or GitHub, or it doesn't really matter. The tools don't really matter here. It's just a matter of I don't have to go into the tool and be like, new issue. Which template? Oh, template 7. And I don't have to deal with that shit, It's great.
There is something horrifying about AI thought leadership being something I can see on LinkedIn now from that. Yeah. Like, oh my God, that's terrible. But jokes aside, I actually went the other way around in my life. I was using ChatGPT for a while and not Claude or coding tools or Copilot. I was swearing off those things for a bit, and I was using it for particularly the cross between qualitative and quantitative analysis. So let's say you're buying a car, like, hey, I have all these rambling thoughts. Let's go back and forth for a bit and say, what do you think I would like more based on these results that my friends do want to hear, but if I ran it at them for 5 hours on it, they would be like, I never want to hear about this again. Yeah. And thought organization, particularly good at that. And it's reinvesting what you gave it. So there's a lot of inference on the words you already said rather than just inherently like hallucinating. The context you're giving it is relevant for that kind of stuff. And I needed to, I was actually doing that with things like career and, things around the apartment and like just something I would buy, a product versus another. And then I went into more macro recently. Now, where it's helping a lot in my job is there are a lot of more so I will be these days on less big dives or big architecture things, and more on point of contact bugs. It's just easier to keep me a little loose. However, I just got out of a big architecture thing this past week, so it's evolving. We'll see where I fit in and where I don't over time, because I still do engineering work when all's said and done. But I can basically feed Claude with both a system initiative prompt and access to our mono repo. Hint, mono repos are very good for Claude. I can give it a bug report, hit Control G, drop into my Helix modal editor, which is like NeoVim, expand the prompt, do whatever, launch Claude in plan mode, hit go, and then give maximum attention to I hold the quality seat. We have a technology leadership council. I hold the technology seat, and I pay attention to things that are going on overall, system incident management, what my directs need. That's my very most important thing that comes first. We have uninterrupted one-on-one time that I have basically committed to not never moving, but like I haven't moved one yet. So I'm hoping to keep that for actually in the Manager's Path book. I've been rereading it recently.
Good book.
That's one of the things that's touched on in there. But it basically enabled me to like spawn off. Yeah,
it's somewhere back there.
Spawn off other work that of course, it may not take it all the way all the time, and I want to manually test and make sure it's good because I know what good looks like. Another hint, that's another thing that makes agents great to work with if you have an informed opinion on what good looks like.
Yep.
So I actually have been using it less for what you're describing and more for the other way around. But I could easily see it trending in that direction more in the future. That's interesting.
Yeah, I mean, like, and I'm not using it as the final thing for it, right? This is just, if I'm going to spend the time thinking about something like roadmap-y vision things and chatting with AI about it and like saying, okay, here's where I see this and prototyping a little bit. I don't then want to like, okay, dinner time and like lose the whole, like all that context. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So the AMP has this concept of threads where like your thread context is saved and you can go back to it, which is great. But then also if I get to a point where this is like, okay, actually, yeah, this is work that I want to track in the future. And like, this is like a roadmap item that I want to put on for like the next quarter or the following quarter. Like if it's a far roadmap thing, let me create an issue to not lose track of it. And I won't just leave the issue as is either. I'll refine it afterwards. But at least if I can like dump that context into an issue quickly from the AI agent, and I can go back later and it lands in like, I label it too. I label it as like some triage or like, you know, roadmap-y thing where it's not like an active work item. It's like a vision-y thing. And then I can later go and curate that at my leisure. And that to me is powerful. Like I love the way agents interact with MCP things because I can just do these actions without having to even step foot in their tools. And I love that, you know, because it keeps me like, I'm one of those people that like, you know, the octopus, like I'm just like, I like to like kind of do that. And with AI, it just feels like I'm in my terminal doing all these things rather than jumping between 5,000 tabs or whatever. And it flows nicer for me.
It's fascinating to me that like, I mean, one of the things that I find a bit ironic is that it took me so long to like start using LLMs, given that I'm like an external thinker. So like, I think by just like, I mean, when I want to think efficiently, I'll just like write in like a document somewhere, like in NeoVim or in Bike or whatever. Also Bike, great editor. If you're on Mac OS, Bike is like one of the most fantastic editors for like prose writing, not for code writing. But like if I'm just like typing, I just like write my thoughts down. And I'm like, now I just take that and I like throw it into Claude instead. Or like I would just speak out loud because I'm one of those people that can talk to themselves. So I just like talk to myself out loud. And now instead of doing that, I just like throw it into Claude. And now all of a sudden I have like all of these ideas that are like becoming real things because it's not just me talking to the ether. It's me talking to something that is like responding and giving feedback and that I can just like yell at as much as I want when it says stupid shit. Because like sometimes it'll say like stupid or straight up wrong shit because it's like a knowledge base is too old. Like I just built a rig with two 3090 Ti's and I have an NVLink printer there. And like the number of times AIs have told me like, oh, they actually removed the NVLink connector. And I'm like, I installed this. I like put the thing onto the cards and it's working. Please stop lying to me.
Oh, it's probably getting confused about SLI getting removed from consumer cards.
Yeah, because it's like when the 3090 Ti came out, it was also around when the 40 cards came out. The 40s don't have it, but the 3090 Ti does have it.
Oh, yeah, and 3090 Ti was that. I'm trying to remember. I think it was 3090 Ti was summer 22, and 4090 was fall 22.
Yeah.
It was only like a few month gap.
So yeah, because it was like so close together, which is like I bought the 3090s because I wanted to NVLink them. So I'm like, of course this is going to work.
Has that been useful for you?
Yeah, like having 48 gigs of RAM has allowed me to like run bigger models, which is nice. And it's allowed me to like start offloading a bunch of stuff that I was doing before. As I think I told them, I think I mentioned in the last episode, but like a Mac Pro with 512 gigs of RAM is like in my future at some point, just because like since I do write so much and I want more localized workflows, because like, you know, having Claude is nice and the subscription model is nice, but like sometimes if I have like really intense conversation, I'm doing a lot, like I'll hit that session limit. So it's like, I want to be able to run many more things and have like much more interesting workflows. So I want to have more video RAM, like as much as I possibly can, so that I can actually run more models and do more things. But the dual setup has been working like really well. I do at some point have to like open the cards up to redo all of the thermal pads if I want to do any training, because the thermals on that are shot if you run them at like full tilt.
Oh yeah.
And the case they're in is like doesn't have the best of airflow, and because of the NVLink bridge, like one of the cards is like sitting like so close to the other one. So there's like
custom loop.
Yeah, that's like the real solution. But I have never done any water cooling myself, and I'm like, do I want to have my first one be in this server that's extremely expensive?
Yes, you do. I'm going to sell you on it. All right,
Okay.
here we go. So I'm going to sell you on it. Here's why. So a lot of people see custom loop, and what they see is like dye intermixed with distilled water, and then like frosted tubing bends and brass tubing bends and blow torches and PVC, and they see all this crazy stuff, and they're like, I am not doing that. That looks dumb. And to be clear, it is. However, dual GPU up is the best because airflow just shoots one GPU air right into the other usually, or you need like a side exhaust to pull it all out. Right. It is very difficult to do. But what a lot of people don't realize is you can just get soft tubing runs. So you can go out there, get black soft tubing runs, thick tubing too, no quick disconnects, none of that. Get one really good, I think D5 is the best pump. I can't remember. Just get one good D5 pump, and you don't need the reservoir. The water's moving so fast, you don't need a lot of extra water. So just get a small reservoir, D5 pump. You could even get a combo or separate, whatever you'd like to do. The combo is cheaper, and then just run it all in a loop, or you can add a double loop. I think the problem is if you go to R- water cooling, you see insane stuff.
Right.
But if you find 3 water blocks, 1 CPU, 2 GPU, black tubing runs, fittings, a pump, and a reservoir, you're done. Now, the part I didn't leave out is that costs a lot of money. But I would argue if you're already taking apart GPUs and thermal pads and you were already willing to spend for 2 3090 Ti's, you'd probably also be the kind of person to maybe consider that as well. The only issue with it is maintenance. You do have to like drain and double check the loop, like I think once a year on average, but you know,
it's okay though. The GPUs will be outdated by then, so you're gonna do that anyway.
But basically, if I were to, well, yeah, hey, well, no, though, because rumor has it
they still pack a punch. So
rumor has it that consumer Rubin's not coming out until late 2027.
Oh yeah, so another year.
You have another year. You have another 2 years because it'll probably be CES 28.
Well, no, you have another 3 years because you won't be able to get it at launch time anyway. So.
Yeah. Now I run all my systems on air, so I just sold you on that. But it's specifically due to the dual GPU, the fact that they're exhausting air into one another so closely, and you're going to be running prolonged heated workloads versus something like gaming, which is bursty. Like the CPU doesn't get that hot while gaming because it's GPU, and GPUs, especially if you're using a Founders Edition card, like 30 or 40 series. They're rear exhausting out the back of the case, half the air. So it doesn't really get that hot. Yeah. But yeah. Anyway, sorry to rant about that. I'm a hardware nerd.
This is good. We like hardware.
Yeah.
We do like hardware.
So you're running that. Is that a Linux box?
Yeah. So this is like I was originally going to water cool one of them because I like buying a 4-slot NVLink bridge was like so much more expensive than a 2 or 3 slot for the 30 series. And I was looking at it, but I'm like, I'm going to spend the same amount in like buying all the water cooling stuff and the bridge as I would just buying a 4-slot bridge. And then I don't have to do any taking apart of stuff. So that was like my original plan was just to like do that. And it's working. So I'm happy. But like the server is also like an insane server, right? So it has like an Epic 7443, I think, which is like a 24 core, 48 thread with 256 gigs of RAM. So it's a beefy boy. It's a beefy server. And there's like a 40 terabyte raw, 20 terabyte NAS on it, like ZFS spinning disk partition. And
wait, ZFS, what OS is it running?
Linux.
I need to introduce you to my coworker Fletcher. He is ZFS on Linux to the max because he's former OpenBSD person. And that is like the most important thing about his setup. So to answer your question, my box that so I actually don't have that many computers intentionally because I just know I would accrue them. And I used to do it with laptops more, like old ThinkPads, because I worked at the university service desk. the classic Linux on ThinkPad. I had a bunch of them going at once. My desktop runs Windows 11. Womp womp. And it does that because it is purely a fun gaming, no headache machine. That being said, the Steam Deck is the best device released in the 2020s. Hands down, I will fight that to the grave. It is amazing. You even no shader compilation because they serve precompiled shaders because it's all one common device like a console, and it's running Arch Linux and all that. Like they figured out HDR. I have a 90 hertz screen and it runs at 45 FPS and it interpolates the frame so it like feels better than 45. So many good things about that device. Definitely think I think by the mid 2030s, gaming will probably for desktops will probably switch to Linux. It might be in a both and scenario, going back to our podcast episode about AI transit and all that. But that system's running Windows. My work machine is a Threadripper that's headless, no GUI, no tiling window manager, nothing. And it's running Arch Linux. It would probably be running Fedora server, but I just didn't want to do the upgrade every 6 months. That's pretty much it. If I have a GUI though, I'm probably running Fedora Workstation. But what's nice about Arch and the headless thing is that I just have Tailscale running Arch. I have Nix on it because we use a Nix Flake. I used to be a Nix OS user for 2 years.
Got married.
No. Yes, I did get married recently, but the main reason is, without getting fully off the rails, file system hierarchy or file hierarchy system, the compliance of that, expecting different libraries for dynamic compilation to be in certain paths. Really annoying to deal with when you're doing greenfield stuff. When you're using other people's projects, I've figured it out. It's fine. But I needed my system to just work with stuff I'd randomly clone off GitHub. I think NixOS for deployment and build system, amazing. But for a dev box that I purposely want to like screw around with and have random crap all over the place, Arch with Nix has been better. So, and that's running Tailscale and ISSH from my work Mac at my desk. I prefer desktops over laptops. I really do. Desktops are amazing, underrated. And also I use a MacBook with a dock because I just don't want to install Slack and Zoom and on two different places. So I just have my one machine that does everything for work. And I have a personal MacBook that's like, just to separate church and state, so to speak. But yeah, it's an M1 Max. It probably could be upgraded. I'd rather upgrade the Threadripper though for more compute because at the 3970X, it'd be cool if it was a 9970X or 9980X Threadripper. Although I might want the single thread performance from like a 9950X Ryzen instead. Less cores, more single thread. Anyway, without ranting too much, that's what I have. I have a server, a desktop, 2 laptops. One is work, one is non-work. Those are my computers.
Oh, what a nice little setup you have.
Thank you. Oh, it's small. It's not. Were you expecting a home lab with like a mini rack?
Well, I'll tell you what I have. Right. So I have the server I mentioned before, that the Epic server. Then I also have my main NAS because that 20 terabyte NAS is like my little like baby NAS. I just put some stuff on there. It's like I have a lot of storage here. So my main NAS, which is a Xeon something that has 128 gigs of RAM in it. Yeah. It has 180 terabytes of raw, which goes down to like 110 maybe of ZFS storage space for my NAS. So that's like the NAS box. And then I have my gaming rig, which does run Linux because the only game.
Wait. I'm sorry. Did you say 110 terabytes? Did I?
Yes. That's of usable. 180 terabytes raw. It has 18 10 terabyte
Oh my God.
in it.
Okay.
I mean, I'm at 83 terabytes usable out of 100 and something terabytes raw because I have 14 terabyte disks. Can
I just say I am definitely a software engineer and not a sysadmin? Like I got down this career path through, so I said, Linux community 15 years, but programming full-time, software engineering for 7. It's because I was into hardware and gaming hardware. I've been following NVIDIA since like the 8800 GT or whatever. And through that, I was like, okay, well, let's go find YouTube and content online. Again, middle of Pennsylvania, not many, there isn't like micro centers down the street, or I think at that time it was Fry's maybe, but like that was big. But yeah, it was, not a lot of big compute. So go online, see what's cool and out there. And then from that, you go to the forums, find the Linux forums that I run in VirtualBox, I think it was Ubuntu 10.04 maybe. And the thing is that like someday I want to do a mini rack with like a build server that I build myself. But I just, every time I'm like, I just spend it on something else in my life, because I really like writing software and running it. But like I did a lot of platform engineering stuff at NetApp, and like ever since I've been working in the infrastructure space, maybe I just don't want to bring it into my personal life. But like once I get a house, I'm in an apartment. Once I get a house, maybe I could see the NAS, the home automation, the family photos.
Get a big rack, man. Get a bigger rack than you need. I bought a 12U enclosed rack, and I'm already filling it up, and I need a larger rack. Get a bigger rack.
But the mini rack's cool. The little
but none of the networking equipment fits in the mini racks. That's the problem. That's true. Like the framework desktop fits in there. Some other boards, like compute, you can get some compute in a mini rack, but then the network gear is always like the annoyance.
It's the network gear that does it?
Yeah. It's depending on what network gear you have. You can get mini rack compatible network gear, but might as well.
What's big these days? Ubiquity? Is that the big one?
The Ubiquity is like
I think Microtech as well.
Yeah.
Oh wait, I still have not gone through. Okay. So we have my NAS, right? 180 terabytes raw, 110 ish of like free, and it only has like 55 terabytes. No, it has like 50. I have a lot of stuff, right? When you have a podcast with video, you wind up with a lot of video, okay, and a lot of audio. It takes up a lot of space. But then I also have my gaming rig, which is Ubuntu, because the only game I play is Dota. And Dota runs on Ubuntu fine, and that has a 3080 in it, and then also like another like smaller, I think it's like 6 terabyte drives, so that winds up being like 12 terabytes usable or something, because it's like a RAID Z1,
okay,
not 2. And then I have, what else do I have? I have another NAS I'm building. That's going to be like my desktop NAS. I originally decided to build this because I want to turn my other NASs off, my other machines off, because my power bill is insane. Like I live in an apartment in New York City, and yet I somehow still use a megawatt hour of electricity every month. So, and I have all my networking set up because I have a 10 gig network, all wired like Cat 6A. So it's like Cat 6A running around my whole apartment. And I have a little DVR machine, which is like super small. It's like I think it's like a Lenovo box that's running like some old version of Windows or whatever. But I use it. That's my only Windows computer, and I use it as my DVR. And then I have my MacBook Pro, my M1 Max MacBook Pro, and my MacBook Air. So I think that's all the things that I have, and like obviously like other old MacBooks laying around. But
I should mention.
No, go ahead, Nick.
Oh, I was going to say I should mention I tend to eBay the last thing. So like if I upgrade a laptop, I tend to like trade forward. So there's some really cool things along the way that I'd love to tell you about. One of them is I tried the ThinkPad Nano when they made the X1 Nano, like a really, really small ThinkPad, like smaller than MacBook Air. That thing was awesome. That was great. That was the closest I think I got to like a thin client feeling laptop in the 2020s. There's part of me that wants to revisit that stuff, but I think for me, so in terms of like hardware I've accrued, the list is much longer than what I have now, but I'm definitely not pulling a Megawatt. That's crazy. But
yeah,
Kris is crazy. Okay. Thank you. Thank you for realizing
it.
We love Kris, but Kris is wild.
There is one piece of hardware, the AI Max 395 plus 128 gigabytes of RAM. That
framework desktop, baby.
Strix Halo on framework desktop. I think, it's funny. I've really switched my tune. Like I was really into following the 2080 Ti, the Threadripper, the 3090, Intel's last HEDT. Recently, I'm all about the small compute, like Strix Halo for AMD, massive wafer, but still or not wafer.
No, but
massive
this thing
chip.
is, yeah, this thing is great. This is what I'm using now. I use it for all of my
amazing.
development and everything.
Amazing. 128 gigs of shared RAM.
Yep, exactly. I think that's the future.
The unified memory. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And also the handheld PCs. I would pay attention. Intel just announced Panther Lake at CES, and AMD did pretty good job with Z2 Extreme, Z1, Steam Deck. It's a lot of nascent technology in other parts of tech starts in the gaming space, and I think that's not an accident. It requires an obscene amount of compute to do some future forward-looking things, but a lot of this efficiency and stuff, and you saw this a bit with the M series Mac, like it's not that things like 5090 and Threadripper 9980X aren't interesting anymore. It's that the generations are taking way longer to release. The improvements are dwindling and mostly in software. So what's cool?
And you still got a power consumption problem.
Yeah.
Not problem, but like they still consume a lot of power.
What's cool? The tiny Steam machine, the framework desktop, the handhelds, to me, that a lot of N unified memory is wicked fast. M4 Max, that stuff, I think.
I'm
is
very
the
like
stuff.
eyeing a Mac Studio.
Yeah, we both
Like you were saying, Nick, how you use Mac OS as sort of like your your Slack, Zoom sort of thing.
It's
you don't
thin
really
client-esque.
It's like a
although
thin
Zoom
client-esque.
can use a lot of compute.
Yeah, no, totally. I've been looking at it from that perspective. I was like, maybe I can do it that way, where the Mac OS machine is my sort of thin client that does the video editing and other things, but my real development happens on like the Linux box. You know what I mean? So
That's what I do. I love it. I use Zellage for all my terminal sessions, so I'll detach and exit, SSH back in, and it's there again. It's great.
yeah, I need to figure out my life on that because it would be nice to have everything kind of for two reasons. One, macOS has really good compatibility with software, like especially with all these new desktop apps coming out with it for it in the AI space is really nice. And also like it's just a powerful computer. You can just unify everything. I can have my messages there and everything. It's becoming more attractive to me. I don't own any macOS machines right now, but
one day
I'm looking at it.
I do have to head out in a bit, but let's talk offline about it because there are pros and cons to it. Yeah, for sure.
I
This is
do
trying to
have
give me a
say
jump ship. It's okay.
that Intel Macs are so terrible compared to M1 Macs or M series Macs that I completely forgot that I also have a Mac Pro that I bought in 2019. It's probably like my most expensive machine, but I'm just like
bad. It is incredible. They went from the worst laptop on the market from 2016 to 2019 to the best.
Yeah.
In 2020 forward. Now, obviously, framework laptop, System 76, Dell XPS has some great stuff. Like there are other laptops that do great things, but M1 MacBook Air or an M4 MacBook Air or whatever, that's a pretty good buy for a lot of people.
Yeah.
But yeah. All right. I got to head out.
Okay.
Yeah. Sorry. We're not even supposed to keep these long. So we're
going to wrap this up. This is
It's me. I'm Prime Yapper. So
we started talking about hardware and then you lit up. So,
yep.
But yeah, viewer/listener, how'd you enjoy that conversation? I feel like we definitely got into some really nerd level stuff right there. Hopefully you like that. We even got like specific model numbers of chips and graphics cards and all of that. But yeah, let us know your thoughts on YouTube or in changelog Slack. Oh no, changelog Zulip. Go for Slack. Jeez. And anywhere you might find your lovely Fallthrough or Break co-host or guest. This episode of Break featured Kris Brando, Matthew Sanabria, and Nick Gerace. I got it, and then I just messed up again.
Gerace. You mostly got it. Yeah.
Break is a Fallthrough Media production. It's produced by Kris Brando, and our beats are by Breakmaster Cylinder. Oh, God. There we go.
Good. It was great.
You're good. All right, we're recording again. We started again.
Yep, I'm actually.
We're here at Break. Oh, right. There's still an intro for Break. Hello, viewer.